Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today, as we continue our conversation on the future of our country, I have a distinguished public servant, just retired, who was the former acting executive secretary of the National Universities Commission. I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources for the first time, Mr. Chris Maiyaki. My brother, it's good to see you on Inside Sources.
Good to see you. Always an inspiration.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your retirement. And what an event that the NUC hosted for you. You know, very inspiring and quite, commendable.
And thank you for showing up as well.
It was a delight. It was a delight.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we normally start the conversation just on a general note to say that if you look at where we are as a nation, do you think that we are on course to being a great country, which is the dream of many of us?
I will argue yes, because I've always been an optimist. I've never been bogged down by any circumstances, at any given point. So, as I always argue, that the worst that can happen to any Nigerian is for us to lose hope.
True.
And so, hope has now become a preoccupation that will continue to drive us, because to lose hope is not an option. This is a country of well over 200 and something million.
Right.
Barely 1 million can afford to escape Nigeria. Yeah, barely 1 million, with the combination of all migration opportunities. And therefore, a case has been made for us to keep hope alive for the over 200 million who are going to go nowhere.
Right.
Whether there is posterity, whether there is poverty,
right.
With all the vices and all the challenges,
True.
We must, as believers, keep the faith and walk towards a better Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So yes, I'm very optimistic that what is happening now will be the defining moment for the future.
I'm very optimistic too, because we got to keep hope alive. We don't have any other country but this one.
No.
Thank you for those opening comments. And yeah, you are just retired as the Deputy Executive Secretary of the NUC. Acted, for almost about a year or so.
2 years,
nearly
2 years.
Nearly 2 years as the Executive Secretary of NUC. So I want you to just give us a reflection of your service. Specifically at NUC, which was where you spent, I think your 35 years entirely. Quite a notable story.
Yeah.
So if you can start with a reflection that, what do you think is the core, in your response of the job of NUC, the core of it?
Yeah. Well, the National Universities Commission, like its counterpart in any other part of the world, is that flagship regulatory coordinating agency for university education that has been saddled with a very strategic and vital responsibility to ensure that our universities, are virile, have reputational capital, quality assured, can compete favorably, can demonstrate its brand at any given time, and that can operate at full strength at all times.
Okay.
So this is basically the mission of the National Universities Commission, and we carry this through the instrumentalities of, identifying and setting up benchmark minimum academic standards. I mean, that's a stepping stone. By the decree number 1 of 1974, the NUC is a creation of law. Has been empowered by law to, to set up, to prescribe minimum academic standards, the curriculum, as it were.
Right.
We also conduct resource verification, and therefore, for any university to set up any program, any department, or any university for that matter, the National Universities Commission, working with other stakeholders, must confirm, the availability of resources, whether they're human, whether they're physical, whether they're ICT, whether they're, other learning resources like the library, be the e-learning, the entire ecosystem considered to be very germane to very effective and efficient learning. We also conduct accreditation.
Okay.
And this is a peer review seasonal mechanism where we go with our checklist, with our instruments, with the subject experts to confirm conformity or otherwise.
And how often do you do the accreditation? It's not a once in a lifetime of a year.
No, it's once in a year.
Once in a year.
But
so
not all.
Every university has to do it once a year.
No. So we have a system where if we visit a program, say this year,
right?
Actually, it is ongoing now.
Right.
We normally come out with a technical outcome statement.
Okay.
That either gives you full accreditation,
okay,
which is 70% plus,
or
interim, which is below 70%, or denied accreditation. So each of them, and let me proudly say that Nigeria is one country that has one of the most robust, accreditation systems in Africa and in the world, because there are definite consequences as a result of persistent non-performance.
Yeah.
So if you get 70%, we don't come back till after 5 years.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Yeah, and if you have interim, we give you a couple of years to remedy the deficiencies so identified, and then we come back. But if you, you fail, you have denied accreditation, we actually, freeze admission in that particular program until you demonstrate ability to have improved on those and fix those deficiencies.
Okay, so a lot of things to unpack, but I wanted to say that education is so key to the future of our country. It's very critical, and now we're talking of the peak of it, which is tertiary education in the universities. So the reason why I asked you the question about the core competence or responsibility of NUC is because I remember when I was, in school at Jubril Aminu, Professor Jubril Aminu, I'm sure you must have worked with him at some point.
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
But I read.
You read, okay.
You can't escape Jubril Aminu.
There was quite a bit of controversy when he became the Executive Secretary of NUC because, the professors at the University of Ibadan who were ahead of him felt that, hey, this guy is going to be our boss in the NUC. So that brings the question of the autonomy of the universities and NUC. What are the tension points in your own experience that you've seen in NUC trying to do its work, as a regulator, and the fact and the desire that universities are meant to be autonomous?
Well, you brought up two issues. One is the eligibility of Jubril Aminu as Executive Secretary of NUC, whether he would have had the legitimacy, of his peers and all that. Well, I think it is important to know that the NUC is a creation of law.
Yeah.
And the law of the NUC as it is now does not prescribe, that you have to have a professorial chair to be the Executive Secretary of the NUC. So Jubril Aminu at that time was deemed fit and qualified, and we have even had another Executive Secretary, Ambassador Yahya Ali, who was the only Executive Secretary who was a non-professor to be appointed by interview, and he had a 5-year stint.
Okay.
The British equivalent, you do not have to have a professorial chair because the job is purely administrative and operational and organizational, But then if you combine both, and you have those antecedents, that also is an additional, advantage. But as to the notion of autonomy, that autonomy presupposes, the freedom, to run your show without any encumbrance, without any, inhibition. And in the context of universities, autonomy will apply to decision-making in appointments of principal officers, vice chancellors, autonomy in, academic matters, autonomy as far as funding and funding parameters, among several other things. But because, our university tradition started with the public universities, heavily dependent on public funds. And there is this adage that he who dictates who pays the piper,
dictates
dictates the tune. And so over the years, universities have solely dependent, and public universities up till this moment are solely dependent on on funds, direct funding from government and government agencies. However, in recent years, during the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo, some level of autonomy was initiated and consummated by the Umaru Yar'Adua administration, where the external regulations now remove the responsibility for appointing vice chancellors now from the president to the governing councils. Governing councils now are in charge of searching for certain criteria and actually...
You mean that used to be done by the president?
Yes, you would have had to.
Professors?
Oh yes, you would have had to, the council would have had to,
vice chancellors?
Vice chancellors, yes.
Oh, okay.
The council would have had...
Not professors?
No, not professors. Okay. Vice chancellors, principal officers.
Yes.
The chief, as the vice chancellor, as the chief administrative, chief accounting, and chief research officer, as it were, would have had to be sent, 3 names would have had to be sent to the presidency. But then, as a result of the negotiations with the university-based unions, and other stakeholders, that was a signature innovation that allowed universities some level of autonomy.
And that was during Yar'Adua's presidency?
Yeah, President Obasanjo, and then activated effectively. And now, so universities, you will hear that the new vice chancellor has been appointed and announced by the governing council. They don't need to come to Abuja. They just inform the public that they have done this. The same thing with principal officers.
But when they run into crisis, because I think there has been an instance when they run into crisis, like University of Abuja.
Yes, when they run into crisis, now if there is a breakdown, if they have fallen short, of the expectations of a council, then the government that appointed the council will have to wade in, to restore normalcy and to stabilize the system. But this is an aberration usually. Councils that are working, efficiently and efficiently and effectively do not need to, have recourse to government. And then Senate in charge of administrative matters. Academic matters. Examinations, approval of curricula, establishment of new departments, new programs, academic expansion, certificates, confirmation of so many things that have to do with academic matters, results, and what have you, collaborations, and this will have to have the stamp of authority of the University Senate. The only, missing element is that of the financial autonomy. And go back to rule number 1 again, which is he who pays the piper, dictates the tune. But we hope that in the no distant time, universities will have the ability to mobilize resources, to leverage on endowments, alumni relations, tap from the private sector. The private sector in Nigeria needs to do a lot more to empower our universities, etc. So there are many layers of funding that universities could be empowered, to unconditionally, as it were, leverage on.
Let's move on because we have quite a lot of issues here. By the way, when I was a rookie reporter when I was doing my service in 1990 in the Guardian, I was actually reporting education in Lagos.
Oh, were you? Awesome.
And I got some schools, by the way.
Hazards of the job.
Exactly. So still around that funding issue, since we're already in it, what ought to be the role of the federal government, and NUC being the agency, that coordinates the university for the federal government in the issue of the funding of the university lecturers in terms of how much they are paid. Now, you have already hinted at the issue of the father. Hey, well, look, I mean, who pays the piper that takes the tune? Makes sense. But when we have a situation where, according to what ASUU is saying now, I don't know the position of CONUA on this, because I know that CONUA also has about 30 chapters, But ASUU is saying that Nigerian professors are the worst paid in West Africa. So what is the role of NUC in that kind of since we know that he who pays the piper that takes the tune?
Thank you very much. On that note, let me say that the journey for the funding of university education in Nigeria has been marked by so many facts and factors, fluctuations, policy fluctuations. There's been a lot of volatility, the inconsistency, as it were, in the funding ecosystem for Nigerian universities. But I think when you mention funding in isolation, it does not lend credence to the sense of urgency that has been canvassed, as it were. I think the public knows, and Nigerians know, that the university enterprise is one that is very capital intensive. Apart from the emoluments of university staff, you need laboratories, teaching laboratories, you need libraries, you need infrastructure, you need roads, you need so many things, hostels,
living conditions,
living conditions, you need power supply, you need all kinds of, there are those concomitants that make you a virile, university brand. And these are some of the things you need to really put in context. From post-independence, University of Nigeria, the ABUs and IFEs and the Seven Sisters in the mid-70s, funding was a bit assured, was steady, but in the mid-80s, getting into the 90s with structural adjustment, the dwindling fortunes of Nigerian universities began to manifest, not just on emoluments, but also even the infrastructural deficit, was beginning to show. And that itself had the potential for impinging on the ability of the Nigerian university brand, to compete with its peers around the world. So yes, the Nigerian academic is far below his peers around the world, undoubtedly so. I'll give you an example. I have two bosses, who have been professors, who went to some of the Ivy Leagues in the world. They have been vice chancellors, they've been deans, they have even occupied positions outside the ivory towers, they've been chief executives, and what have you. Both of them put together today could barely earn a basic salary of $800. Both of them put together. But then we also draw a parallel with professors like in South Africa, for instance. There is this impression that a professor in South Africa earns about $3,000, and therefore a case has been made for us to be very deliberate, about enhancing the conditions of service of university staff. Otherwise, a lot of them could live in drones, to other systems. If you go to, I visited under our linkages with experts and academics in the diaspora program. I visited a university in Washington, D.C., and I was amazed at the number of Nigerian, professors of Nigerian extraction who are there. Doctors, IT experts, they're all over the world. I mean, Nigerians are everywhere, out there for greener pasture. So I think that this is the defining moment for us to, place the Nigerian academic on a pedestal, restore his prestige, give him a reason or her a reason to continue to apply themselves to the vocation that they chose when they decided to. But then this has to be a function of negotiation. Right. We need to carry out a reality check also. The resources, are not there in the country as they were in the past, Right. So I think it is a delicate balancing act, but we need to be very deliberate. We need to be very intentional about, funding, the emoluments, the entitlements of academic staff, and then also infusing investments, huge investment in the infrastructural development, ICT penetration, for instance. There's a joke, which I don't agree, that the housewife in America, has better broadband in her kitchen than a department in some of our institutions, This is one matter that must engage the minds of policymakers, leaders, funders, and because otherwise our universities will continue to lag behind the global ranking threshold, as it were.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Take two. You have to keep your answers short so that we can touch all the issues. Okay. Do you understand? Because you're a professor. Take two. Okay. So while we are still on the funding issue, why don't we just settle the issue of this 2009 agreement? And I'm asking you that question because you have been in NUC forever. You knew what happened. I'm sure that you sat in most of those negotiation teams. So can you just educate Nigerians about your own reading of why this has become such a contentious issue? ASUU says that there's an agreement in 2009. Since then, there have been one or two other reviews, I think, by some of the notable professors that led the effort. What is the problem, Mr. Maiyaki? What do you think? What's the major challenge? Why that agreement is still a contention? I mean, we must say to the credit of Dr. Laolu, in my view, who has managed to pay some of those things that have not been paid by a lot of the previous government. Yeah. But I want you to give us an insight, based on your own experience. Why is this such a big problem?
Well, like you rightly pointed out, the 2009 agreement predates the present government and the present minister. These are inherited, residual issues as it were, that should have been trashed, out long before now. And you have to understand that the university-based unions are pressure groups. They set up to defend, and uphold the sanctity of quality, protect their members. They're not just bread and butter issues. They also fight for the survival of the system in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of learning resources, even governance issues sometimes attract the attention of the academic staff union. And so therefore, usually there's a checklist. There's a long drawn period of negotiation. And this negotiations date back 1980 something, right through I think the days of Chief Chikelu, who was Minister of Establishment Matters. There's so many of these negotiations, but the 2009 negotiation was the high point of negotiations, where conditions of service, salary revitalization, infrastructural development, and so many other things that they negotiated. But I think when this, at that time, when the negotiations were ongoing, attention is not paid as to the ability of the government, and I think this is why the current, in the recent years, government is a bit circumspect and a bit careful not to consummate agreements that are not implementable. And this is why you have this carryover issues due to a combination of factors. Governments have been unable to fulfill those agreements, So earned academic allowances, for instance, credit goes to this government that they released about 50 billion, the stabilization, revitalization fund. about out of the 150, I think another amount has been released. The retirement age,
Extended?
Yeah, it's now 70 for teaching staff of that have the professorial cadre. The non-teaching now can retire at 65, and so many other things. But there are still some residual issues that need to be trashed out. Yeah, and they've been brought forward, and without preempting the ongoing renegotiations under the Ahmed Mahmoud Yahya committee that was set up by this government, I think they are. And during this intervening period, more unions have come up. You mentioned CONWA.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's another one again, Medical and Dental Academics, National Association of Medical and Dental Academics.
Reflecting the pluralism.
The pluralism in the system. So,
yeah.
Yeah, these are matters that must be addressed, and what a defining moment, what a game-changing opportunity now for this to be trashed. But like I said, it is a point for a reality check.
Yeah.
We have to take stock. We have to look at what government can afford now, and what government can afford in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term.
Okay.
But they are inherited issues, and successive governments, have not been able to fulfill the agreements to the latter. And I hope that in the no distant time, we will put this behind us, because 2000, if you extrapolate between 2009 and 2025, I mean, I think we need to delete that and make progress and see what the system can expeditiously deal with and build consensus around the issue and agree in a multi-stakeholder consultative platform, because this is one matter that one person alone cannot take a decision. It's a negotiated matter.
Right. Excellent. So, in your own view, having held the seat, you were acting executive secretary for almost 2 years. What's your assessment of how university administrators manage their resources? And I'll tell you a short story. Like I said, I started as a reporter. I was focusing on education, and one of my very major mentors then was Professor J.F. Adiajayi. Professor J.F. Adiajayi was Vice Chancellor of University of Lagos in the 70s.
Yeah, I know.
But then he came back to UI after he finished that job. He was in the Department of History. I was in the Department of History. So I had a relationship with him, and I was doing campus journalism. So I asked him one of the days, I said, this issue of funding of universities, that, why is government not giving enough money? And he said to me that that's a very important point, but that he has also experienced a bit of mismanagement of resources by university administration. It changed my perspective, all the way that, this is, there's a flip side. There is need for funding to be increased significantly, but there are also, management issues of how the resources that exist are managed. From your experience, Mr. Maiyaki, you sat on that chair. What's your assessment of how the universities manage the resources they get?
Well,
can you give us a frank assessment?
Let me say this. To assume that universities are populated by people from Mars,
I like that.
They're not Nigerians also will be the greatest disservice.
Absolutely.
These are Nigerians, who have not been insulated. They're from the same society. And therefore, mismanagement is not just a university thing.
True.
It's indiscriminate. Wherever you find people who are not well grounded, who do not have a deep sense of probity, this will happen. Even in the private sector, we have seen. But this is not to give an excuse for pockets of cases of mismanagement in our universities. And this lends credence to the belief that eroded ethics, poor governance and management systems are the heart of the dwindling, fortunes of our universities. if you take, I always argue, if you take the University of Abuja, which is now Yakubu Gowon University, if you take 50 billion and drop it at the gates of the university and walk away, Mr. Akande, what happens to that 50 billion, is a function of the management, the governance and the administrative system put in place. Have you put in place people that are accountable, people that have a dim sense of probity, men in good standing, people that are very professional. So this is my immediate reaction to that. But we, through our regulatory activities, and intervention activities as a regulatory agency, we have had cause to discover some of these cases. There could be academic corruption, there could be financial, there could be administrative, and there's what we call the visitation panel exercise. Visitation implies that because the visitor is the president for federal universities, if you like, you can say roughly as the owner of, or the state governor is for the state public funded universities. Every 5 years, the visitor is empowered by law to cause a visitation to be carried out. And during that period, the visitation panel is empowered to audit, to take a look at the governance system, the conformity or otherwise with external regulations, the usage of expenditure profile, etc., etc. Even the entire ecosystem, the town and gown relationship, the role of students, how are students faring, the general fortunes of the university. And, it is well documented that some of those, some university administrators have been indicted. Some have been retired. Some have been dismissed as a result of visitation panel reports. This happens in the universities as it happens in our national life, in the private sector anyway. So yes, it is a fact that we've had cases where university administrators and administrations have fallen short, of the threshold of integrity, and the expected management, attribute of a university.
All right. So as we round up around the issue of funding.
Yes.
So what kind of model do you think has to happen, especially in universities, to improve the funding structure? You and I know for most of the federal universities, they are owned by the federal government, essentially, where the federal government pays everything, virtually everything. A lot of them still make some internal revenue generation. But I've not seen a significant demonstration of raising funds by endowments, like you have seen in other universities across the world. You have traveled, far and wide, seeing these things. How do you think we can manage the universities in the way that they can be more financially autonomous, even though they are public institutions, in Nigeria? Because I don't think that has happened. Yeah, we have seen quite a few, Baba Jebu, Chief Kensington Adebutu, I'm sure, he's done quite a lot, and there are several other instances, but I don't think it has gotten to a critical mass that we can begin to say that our universities are actually benefiting from endowment. What do you say?
Well, as I said in the preamble, the funding, architecture that we inherited, was based on direct funding from government. But then with the dwindling resources, of government, not just for education, for healthcare, for security issues, social services, technology, etc., etc. It now behoves on government to initiate a sustainable funding architecture for universities in conjunction with the university administrators and the unions. One sour point that is a recurring decimal is the fact that our public institutions are tuition free. So that itself, limits the ability of the universities.
Right.
They are not. They are prohibited by a certain section of the Constitution. University education is free, and therefore, if you take like a state like the Penn State University at College Park or University Park on the east coast of the U.S., their entire budget is $3.something billion. The federal government, through the Federal Department of Education, only extends between $300 and $500 million.
Just about 10%.
Yes, they have to go and fend for themselves. They have to go and look for the balance of the 2.5 or 2.7 billion, as it were.
But is it that the tuition is free in federal universities or that is very low?
No, it's free. Officially, tuition is free. But now to cushion operational cost,
right,
we've seen universities, applying some charges here and there. But that's a drop in the ocean. And that takes me to the unit cost of producing a graduate. This is one question that must be answered.
What is the figure?
I do not have it offhand because it varies from discipline to discipline. The cost of training an engineer cannot be the same as the cost of training a medical doctor, somebody in the humanities, or an ICT fellow or pharmacist, etc., or a vet.
Yeah, and the years also vary.
And the years also
3, 4, 5, 6
vary. But the bottom line is that there is a unit cost implicit in training a graduate. The only snag there is that nobody has answered the question, whose responsibility is it, to bankroll this unit cost, okay? So if government says, due to the economic realities, of the moment, we can do so percentage, what will happen to the other percentage? If we want to have roundly educated, top-notch, brilliant, outstanding Nigerian graduates that can compete, favorably anywhere in the world. This is one matter that must engage the minds of policymakers, unions, leaders, the National Universities Commission, but it's been a major issue. And there are also limitations for pushing for endowments. The culture of endowment has not been really is not well rooted, in the. We've seen Nigerian top men even go to donate, millions to universities overseas.
Yeah.
Some don't do the same here, so it's a clarion call for our leaders in the private sector to give back to society.
Absolutely. How can we calibrate that? What do you think can be done? Because the point that you made now is quite very germane. I know quite a number of billionaires. I won't mention their names. There's one in the Northeast. Who is stupendously rich.
Yes.
And I know that he has endowments somewhere in the United States. I hope he does have one in Maiduguri too. And there are quite a number of billionaires. What is missing in, haven't we found the right town and gown, synergy to turn that into some kind of very...
No, it's not for lack of policy initiative. The National Universities Commission, working with the Federal Ministry of Education, has championed a paradigm shift where we try to attune, our captains of industry, for instance, and our very wealthy Nigerians to donate a fraction of their wealth to growing the human capital that they are the ultimate beneficiaries.
Yeah.
If you take the Dangote refinery,
right,
apart from the expatriates, the other Nigerians would have had to go through the same Nigerian university system. And therefore, a case has been made, for captains of industry, the organized private sector, to have a change of heart,
right,
to donate a fraction of their wealth. And it's not just a big man thing alone. As you graduate, from the United States or from the UK, there's an alumni envelope they give you, they trace you, they mobilize you. Endowments are there, university corporations, university enterprises. We have we have taken this even to the extent of urging universities to establish advancement offices to champion non-governmental sources of revenue, as it were. Perhaps we need to escalate that. We need to We need to ginger our universities to do some more. But the dwindling economic fortunes of the country hasn't helped matters either. If you take a university in a remote part of Nigeria, there's hardly any endowment, any internally generated revenue that can go to that university. Even consultancy services will not thrive in some of the remote parts of the country. But yes, it's a clarion call for that to take center stage as a means of augmenting, the sources of diversifying our situation, the sources of revenue for our university, because university enterprise is very capital intensive, as I argued.
And I want us to talk about quality, of the products of our universities, and I don't know where we're going to put the blame, but you've seen quite a few of the university graduates who can hardly write an essay, that we consider decent. We've seen situations where, so-called graduates can't even construct good sentences, not to even talk about their area of discipline. So, and I don't know. I cannot say that this is widespread, because I don't have the empirical figures, but it is certainly there. So I wanted us to wrap up this conversation around the question of quality of education. How can we tighten the quality of our education? And I want you to link that to the issue of, open distance education, e-learning, the opportunities that it has provided to even get more people, because we also have the problem of we have a huge population of people who want to go to universities, and we don't seem to be able to, take them all.
Thank you very much. At the heart of any university is reputational capital. Any university enterprise thrives on its reputational capital. And the underpinning of reputational capital is the quality. The notion that all your programs, your curriculum, your delivery, your staff, in quality and in quantum, must be seen to be operating at full strength. At all times, that fit for purpose, that clean bill of health. This is one matter that any ambitious university enterprise cannot escape. Okay? And this is a university system that, from history, that has enjoyed, the glorious days where its graduates were very competitive. Research output was very laudable, was well received. I just mentioned graduates of Nigerian universities, first-class graduates. We send them to the Imperial College, to Princeton, to Columbia, to Yale. I had the privilege of dealing with those kids directly. And let me say this. Yes, whereas there are cases of dwindling fortunes of the Nigerian graduate, I take an exception to the general, to generalize it. Yes, there are pockets. And if you go all over the world, this will happen. You will see that literacy rates have dropped, even in the big higher education systems, sometimes you will find those. But then I do not want this isolated case to be cloud, as it were. The very rich history and tradition that we've enjoyed. I'm a product of the Nigerian university, so I went to Ahmadu Bello University. I don't feel any encumbered, so are you. You went to Ife.
I went to the greatest of them.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You went to Ife is the greatest of them all?
That's the University of Badon.
Oh, you went to the University of Badon. I hope you're not living on borrowed times. So the issue of quality is one matter that has so many parts. We need to address the issues of funding. The funding has been the universities have been underfunded.
We talked about it.
It's been very erratic. We need to be very deliberate and very consistent. We need to create a buffer and insulate the Nigerian universities from the vagaries of the volatility of misfortunes of the country and what have you. We need to do that. We need to retool and give capacity, to our universities and non-teaching staff. Modern teaching skills, for instance. We need to look at all those. Okay. We need to infuse a lot of infrastructure into our universities.
Even now with AI technology.
And AI, we need to leverage on AI and what have you, among several others, so that our university graduates can demonstrate those attributes that make them truly graduates of the 21st century. But yes, quality has been compromised. Sometimes from the nursery, from the primary, from the secondary, because some of those, they are fed, the universities are fed with those products from the lower, the basic education. It's a complete gamut. You need to reject it.
And then there's also significant buzz around cheating, during examinations.
Yeah, vices.
In JAM, in NECO, in WAEC.
No, those
and fake certificates.
No, those ones are not widespread. Those are not widespread.
Just the boss.
First, fake certificates has been there, from time immemorial. We have, society, human civilization has always been plagued by that, even during our time. My brother, Mr. Akande, you will always find deviants who will always exploit, where they will perpetuate illegality and, what do you call it, cheating and what have you. It's been there. But what I want to argue against is the tendency to generalize.
Yeah, I agree.
To make it so. You will find those, if you go to the big countries, you will find professors who are falling short of those thresholds. You will find those things happening, okay? But we need to really, raise our game. We need to, argue and make a case for the survival of the Nigerian university system. And that's why I said both government and the unions, I think there's a convergent point. There's a convergence of consensus that I think both of them are committed to upholding the sanctity of the Nigerian university system.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Chris Maiyaki. You won't believe that we've spent an hour already, and our time is so fast spent, and there's still a lot of issues, that we haven't touched. I'm sure that you'll be able to come back, in the future, and I hope that you're going to stay within, the university's ecosystem, because your expertise, your experience, and your knowledge, even though you are retired, is still going to be much in demand.
I will always be a friend of education.
You should be.
An alumnus of the National Universities Commission, because that is one system that has really, made the difference in my life, that has placed me on a pedestal. And I will always argue that the fortunes of any system, gravitates around its leadership. Leaders must give in their best to turn around the fortunes of their organizations, their countries, their communities. And leadership is also a privilege. It's been a privilege.
It is.
It's been an opportunity, but also is a legacy. That we must value and bring prestige, bring respect to the corridor of power, to the practice and to the classroom, wherever we find ourselves.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your service, to the nation, and thank you for coming to Mr. Sources.
Thank you for what you do for Nigeria as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means that Nigeria will succeed, Nigeria will win, because partly we will keep pushing at the major issues. My name is Laolu Akande. Thank you for watching, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.